Worth 1,000 words for 400. The food web shows the flow of energy through a coral reef population. Which conclusion is most clearly supported by the food web? A. Disease among the reef's anemone population would endanger the crab population. No or maybe. So, disease among the reef's anemone population would endanger the crab population.
I'm saying no because there's no mention of disease.
Say no because there's no mention of disease. I want to point out something about the question because I feel like everybody's quiet and unsure. And maybe it's just because my tone changed and you guys are great expert readers. You're like, she's disappointed in us. That happens sometimes. But I'm going to go back to the question real quick. Do you notice how it says which conclusion is most clearly supported by the food web? So it doesn't necessarily mean that one is directly stated. It just means that the web could serve as evidence that this is probably true. So don't overthink the whole like, is it on the web? It's more like making an inference. Has anybody ever heard of the word inference?
Yes.
Inference is a logical assumption that something is probably possibly true, and you can point to some evidence somewhere. So that's what even though I didn't use the word inference directly here, that's the idea here. Like I could point to the web to say, yeah, this is probably true because of this connection on the web. Does that make sense? Because if you look through all of them, you're going to see like endangered the crab population. Then we see endangered because of a decrease. Then you see somebody getting endangered again. And then sharks have no predators. Like there's nothing in the list is directly from here. It's all assumptions. Could we support them with this graph or not?
Okay, now I understand.
Okay, so now let's go rethink A. Disease among the reef's anemone population would endanger the crab population. So I'll come back again to anemones and crabs, and I'll tell you why I didn't want you to immediately reject it, because the two are connected. So one will definitely affect the other. I don't know if it'll be this effect. I got to reread it. But if anemones start dying off, crabs are going to get affected somehow. But how will they get affected? Look at the way the arrow goes. Do you guys know what that means in a food web? Do you know what the arrows mean?
I think it's the arrow points to what is them.
Yes, the arrow points to what eats them. Yes, not to what they eat. Yes, good way to put it. It points to what eats them. It's the flow of energy. So that's how the energy is moving. The energy is moving from the crabs to the anemones because the anemones eat the crabs. Gorgeous. So if the anemone population starts dying off, do you think that would endanger the crab population?
Oh, I said maybe.
They're definitely connected, huh? Okay. Sea turtles are endangered due to a decrease in the sea star population. I didn't like this. Do you know why I stumbled over this, you guys? The last one said would. If this happens, this one, the way it's phrased, I even thought, do I have a typo or is this a wrong answer? Because it doesn't say, see, if sea turtles are endangered, it's because of a decrease in the sea star population. It doesn't say that sea turtles might become endangered if the sea star. It doesn't have that language that says maybe this will happen. That inference language. It just states it. Sea turtles are endangered. Now I can say I get to reject this because nowhere on the graph do I have evidence that sea turtles are endangered. Now, you might say, well, Kate, I know sea turtles are endangered. Yeah, but we can't take our previous knowledge for an inference. We have to be able to find enough evidence on here to show that something's true. So I think I like rejecting this one based on your last reasoning. Anybody understand why I can throw away B but not A? Or does it sound like Kate's having a
It does because
standard?
it uses the word are, like it has happened,
Yeah,
versus the other one is would,
would. Mm-hmm.
possibly in the future.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Good. I love how you summed it up. So, C, the introduction of a non-native fish that consumes sponges would endanger the sea star population. So there it is again. We have that language that if this happens, then that would happen. Now I'm willing to consider this. So the introduction of a non-native fish that consumes sponges. Okay, so a fish came in, it's eating the sponges. Oh, it should have big teeth. Okay, would endanger the sea star population. Okay, no or maybe.
Maybe.
Maybe they're definitely directly connected, huh? What affects one is probably going to somehow affect the other. Okay. D, the reef is home to a large population of sharks because they have no predators. No or maybe.
I feel like I don't would say no to this because it puts a number on them and no numbers are given when it
Yeah.
says a population of sharks.
Yeah. So I think that's an assumption some people might make. Like nobody eats the sharks, so there must be a lot of them. But there's enough factors we don't know. We can't point to direct evidence that there's a lot of, even though we can point to, they have no predators, we can't point to there's a lot of them. There might only be one shark. We have no idea. And so, yeah, I think that's too far of a stretch to make an inference on. Good job. I love it. So now we're back down to A and C. So let's look at which one's the best connection. Disease among the reef's anemone population. If the anemones get diseased, will we have less of a population or more?
Less.
Less. They're going to die off. Okay. So would that endanger the crab population? Do you think we'll have the crab population get in danger if we have less anemones?
No.
No, just the opposite, right? The anemones eat
Yeah.
the crabs. If there's less anemones, we're going to have crabs running around everywhere, at least at first. And so I think A is a little weak, but let's make sure that C is stronger than that. So coming down to C, the introduction of a non-native fish that eats the sponges. Okay, there he is. Now he's a very hungry non-native fish, and he has big teeth eating the sponges. So if we have a non-native fish eating the sponges, what's going to happen to the sponge population?
It's going to decrease.
It's going to decrease. Then how is that going to affect what? The sea stars.
The sea star will decrease since
They eat the
the
sponges.
sponge.
Yeah, watch the arrows. A lot of people think the arrows go in the direction of what they eat, but it's just the opposite. The sea stars are eating the sponges. The sponges feed the sea stars. So if the sponges are gone, there's less of them, then the sea stars are not going to have sponges to eat. Then we'll probably see the sea stars be in danger as well. Great. So C is the better answer here. Ooh, that one was hard. And by the way, I've seen ones like this. If you're a non-native English speaker, the way they throw around cause and effect and causes and is the result of, it can be really confusing. I've seen ones that students just get so turned around because just by changing one little word or the order of the words, we're changing which one is the cause and which one's the effect. And a non-native speaker might not notice that change. So careful reading is as important to this one as the diagram is. So if you found this challenging, don't beat yourself up. Remember, you only need half right. Remember that if you narrowed it down to two, you've got a 50-50 chance of getting it right. And don't stress yourself out so much that sometimes English is pretty confusing. And some places speak English, but not like us, right? So we have, I think that's the case in a lot of places where maybe it's also English, but it's spoken differently. And so that can make a difference to how we read things. So, okay. Anybody mad at me for this one?
No, I thought it was good. I just didn't understand at first that I was just looking for inference, the way you put it. Like I'm just looking to see if this could happen. From the question, I couldn't tell that.
Yes, it didn't directly state inference. It just said it could be supported by the food web. So I think what I would have done is, since it says most clearly supported by the food web, I would have just said yes to everything where I could pull some evidence from the food web, and then at the end decided which one was the strongest one, if that kind of makes sense.
I
Okay.
also want to ask with the arrows, is it a lot of diagrams with the arrows where the arrow goes in the direction of what was eaten? Or I don't know
Oh,
if I'm
good
saying it
question.
right.
I know students always assume it should. This particular diagram is called a food web. And in a food web, the arrows, if done correctly, should show the flow of energy. So it should show what's being this is being eaten by that because energy moves up. It moves from the guy who's getting eaten up to the eater. And so, but even if you didn't know that, That's why I included it in the passage. And the GED is not a memorization test. So you'll see the same thing there. If there's an important, crucial thing you should know about the arrows, they'll tell you. Now, did it make sense the way I explained it? Maybe not, but hopefully it does now. The food web shows the flow of energy. Anybody else mad at me?
Not you. The English.
It's the English. It really is. It's very challenging. I was working with a student, not in GED. It's one of my private tutoring students. He's going to school to be a medical laboratory scientist. Well, he knows so much more than I do. But I can pass the test that he needs to pass, right? Even though I don't know anything about medical laboratory. Why? Because I'm really good at taking tests in English. And this poor guy's first language is Arabic. So now we have to study and study and study so that he can take a test in his non-native language, even though he knows more than me. It's not fair, but it is how it is with tests, you know? But be glad that he's the one in the lab, not me, or your lab results would be messed up.